Hello everybody and welcome to another episode on my Fiesta ST180 series. So today is the day where I'm going to be doing an oil change service on the car. So we're going to be putting this Castrol fully synthetic 5W20 oil. Now the service interval for this car is we're also actually going to be doing the oil filter as well, so genuine Ford oil filter. Now the service interval for this car is actually 12,500 miles or every 1 year, and so what I actually do is shorten it down a little bit and change it at 10,000 miles. So the car is just about to hit 10,000 miles since I last did the oil change, so I think it's about time that it's done. So without further ado, I'll get straight into it. Okay, now the first job that I need to actually do is get the car jacked up on one side and then put an axle stand underneath, and that's to give me enough room to get underneath to undo the drain bolt and also to get to the oil filter. Okay, so I'm just jacking up the car on the other side as well so that it's nice and level, and I've got enough room to go underneath to undo the drain plug and get to the oil filter as well. Okay, with the car jacked up, I'm just going to undo the filler plug or filler hole plug. So put that just there. Okay, so the two tools that I'm actually using to undo the sump plug and the oil filter is a 13mm socket, so that will be to undo the sump plug. And then I've also got these oil filter pliers. These are just ones from Halfords. I found that last year trying to do it by hand was really difficult, so I bought these. They give you a little bit more torque and you're able to get the oil filter off a lot more easily. Okay, so now it's the turn of the oil filter, and I'm going to basically be turning this wrench anti-clockwise to unscrew off the oil filter. A little bit of oil will come out, so I'll just move my catch can to catch that, and then we clean everything up and we're ready to put on the new oil filter. Okay, with the oil filter now off, I'm actually going to just clean this whole area up, and also where the sump plug is, give that a good clean as well. And then basically it's now ready to put the sump plug back in, and also a brand new oil filter back into the oil filter housing. Okay, so I've got the new oil filter here, so I'm just going to take it out, and one of the first things that I need to do is actually just lube up this rubber seal here. So I've got a new pair of gloves on, and I'm just going to get some of the brand new oil that I'm going to be putting into the car. Actually, I had a litre left from last year, so I'm actually going to use that first. And then I'm just going to literally rub this across here, okay? And this just means that when you put the oil filter back on, it's going to be easier to get off next year as well. So it's got nice clean oil. You don't need to put oil inside here because the fill quantity that we're going to be using today is one that includes the oil filter change as well. So now it's getting this back onto the car. All it needs to be is hand tight. So you tighten it, make sure that it's nice and secure, but you don't need to go completely crazy and keep turning it. I think hand tight is perfectly sufficient. Okay, so for the sump plug, what I do is tighten it by hand, so we get it just nicely tightened by hand. And then I'm actually going to use a torque wrench and torque this to the correct setting, which is 28 Newton meters. So I've got my torque wrench here, and this actually starts from 28 Newton meters. So the way to actually set it is you can actually see on the camera, hopefully there, that 28 will be just at the bottom rung. So I'm going to first make sure that it's nice and loose. Obviously always have it loose when you're not using it, and I'm actually going to wind this up till we see it going to 28, which is just about here. And I'm just going to tighten this up. I've got my 13mm socket, which I'm actually going to put on now, and that is now ready to be torqued up to the correct spec. Okay, so the correct way to do this will be for me to just get underneath here. Hopefully the camera is actually showing that. Where is my finger? Yeah, it should be showing that. So get that onto there, and it should be one click. Once I've heard one click, then that's it, it's done. You don't need to keep clicking it all the time. One click and we know it's at the right torque setting. So turn it, keep turning it, feeling some resistance. Done. So I now know that's nice and tight, and the torque, it's not overly done. But if, and let me just take the camera out from underneath. Whoa. Now, if you didn't have a torque wrench, then essentially what you can actually do is just basically tighten it, and then just tighten it until you feel some resistance, and then just give it a little nip, and that's it, and that should do the job. But if you've got a torque wrench, it's always worth actually using it. Now, the correct way to deal with a torque wrench now is actually to undo the setting and just basically loosen it off from the bottom. Make sure that you handle this very carefully, that you don't drop it, because they go out of calibration as well. So these are very important tools that you've got to look after. Okay, now we're sure that everything is tight underneath, so the sump plug is done up, the oil filter is on, we can actually do the part which I like the most, filling this up with oil and getting it into the engine. Nice, fresh, clean engine oil. Now, this car takes about 4.1 litres, and that's what we're going to be putting in. This is a 2-litre jug. I've made sure that it's clean, it's not got any dust or any particles in, so we'll be using this as a measuring jug to get the job done. So we're just getting to the 2-litre mark. So this is going to be the first 2 litres that are going to go into the engine. So I'll just pop this over here, make sure that the cap is back on. Don't want any dirt going into the oil. And then now I'm ready to be very careful and actually get this oil into the engine. So let's do it. So just pour it slowly. And as I say, it's such a nice feeling getting clean engine oil into the engine. I'd do this more often if I could. But I think once a year, 10,000 miles is more than enough. So just get that all in there. Let that scoop down. And then I'm going to fill this jug again with another 4 litres. Sorry, another 4 litres, another 2 litres, which will make 4 litres, and then it's at the 0.1, and then I'll check the dipstick. I'll run the engine as well, and then just let it settle, and then I will check it again. So again, this is the 2 litres, further 2 litres now to make 4. So we'll just add this into the engine. Oh, that sounds nice. That's So of course it's now important just to wipe the dipstick and then just give it a little check. So we'll just see where the level's at the moment. Yeah, so that's going to go down. So I need to just put that 0.1 of a litre in as well. Okay, so the dipstick has been checked. The oil is at the correct level. So what I'm going to be doing now is pop this cap back on, and I'm going to basically run the car and make sure, just get that back on, and then make sure that the oil circulates around, gets into the oil filter as well, and then we'll let it cool, check it again. If it needs topping up, which I don't think it will, but if it does, we just add a little bit more, and then that's the job done. So it's been a couple of minutes now and I've let the oil settle down. So let's have a look at the engine oil level. So take it off, give it a bit of a wipe, put it back in. Okay, and then let's have a look at that. Oops. Yeah, that's spot on, that is. So it's between the minimum and maximum marks, and it's just on the 4th rung there. So that is exactly where it should be. So that's spot on, really. So folks, that's it. The oil change and the oil filter has been done for another 10,000 miles. It's extremely important to keep on top of the service, and I'll make sure that I keep a record of this, at what mileage it's been done at, and then I actually know when I need to do it again. And sometimes if you cover more mileage or you do very hard miles, you might need to do the oil change sooner. I definitely don't think you should just wait 1 year regardless. Keep an eye out on the miles. As you can see, it's a very easy job to do. The oil filter is quite easy to get to, and as is the sump plug. You don't have to remove any under trays, which is something that I really like about this car. On other cars that I've serviced before, it takes 15 minutes just to get all the bolts off for the under tray, but no such problems with the Fiesta. So the journey continues. The car's now got nice fresh engine oil and oil filter, and we now look towards going for that stage 2. So I'll keep you posted. Please do look out for new videos coming very soon.